Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. It's Tuesday, so we're recapping week 13 of the National Football League. Football season goes way too quick.
Yeah, it's terrible.
We're a week away from most leagues, fantasy football playoffs. Like, this is the last week for the majority of leagues for regular season. So, man, what a year it's been. Before we dive in onto that, you can follow us over on Twitter/X at DraftedUp_pod. But more importantly than that, you can like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend. We're on Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. How you doing this cold December night?
Doing good, but the heat streak I'm on in fantasy football is keeping me warm, dog. You know, big win here in our home league. Dynasty League, I'm still trucking along. Yeah, clinched our division. I'm the one seed in both our two main leagues, so I got a lot of expectations here for the next couple weeks, dog. So you might not see me in 4 weeks if it goes bad.
I will weekend at Bernie's you of the podcast.
Okay,
I'll record it separately. I'll write down everything I say, and then I'll voice you. Oh, I'm doing okay.
Puppet me.
Yeah.
It could work.
We'll figure. Yeah. No one will know. No.
You can't tell the difference anyways.
All right. How was your holiday?
It was good.
Thanksgiving,
a lot of football was watched. A lot of bad football here and there. That first game was on a horrendous ending. Fucking Bears. We don't have to bitch about it because he got fired.
No, I was really looking forward to ranting about Matt Eberflus and all that nonsense.
That was the plan too. Like, we were talking immediately after the game. Like, we're gonna. Yeah, they listened. Hour. We were gonna fucking ream that guy a new one to complete utter despair. Didn't happen in Chicago. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Even Caleb Williams is to be at blame. I'm not gonna all hold it on Matt Eberflus, but my God, dude, he's a fucking idiot. I'm glad he's gone. The Bears, thankfully, are in the right direction now. Get a good coach in there, dude.
For them, yeah.
He steps the better direction. Yeah, they're in the better direction regardless. Yeah. So.
They need a CEO type head coach, like a Mike Vrabel, a Harbaugh, who kind of doesn't necessarily is the young hotshot play caller. Just have a guy in there who discipline and can do like Mike Vrabel would be perfect for this football team.
Yeah, a good hard knocks coach that'll get the job done.
Yeah, I love Thanksgiving football, but the problem is it really wears me out that I have like no interest in watching football on Sunday because like I tune in to all 3 Thanksgiving games and I embrace it, and then Sunday rolls around and I'm just kind of footballed out because then I did college football on Friday and I'm just like
so many games are on Friday, dude.
Yeah,
it was a crazy week. We even had the Black Friday game.
Yep, didn't watch any of the Black Friday game.
Not me either.
Caught bits and pieces of the Sunday slate. I was out busy doing stuff, but I watched Red Zone on the drive. So,
yeah, I watched all Sunday. It's very football heavy weekend for this guy. Nice 4-day break, much needed.
Yeah, it was. All right, let's dive on in. As mentioned, Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions was first up on Thanksgiving Thursday. The Lions squeaked out a victory, 23-20. They improved to 11-1. Bears fall to 4-8. Caleb Williams was great second half. First half was terrible, but second half he really turned it around. He ended up with 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, added almost 40 yards on the ground as well. And he got the Bears right back into this game because DeAndre Swift wasn't great. And then the receiving crew, Keenan Allen, 2 touchdowns. He was incredible.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, 5 for 73. DJ Moore, 8 for 97 and a touchdown. He had 16 targets. Like, clearly the offense still runs through him. He's the alpha receiver here in Chicago. And did Detroit, like, fine games for your fantasy. Like, Jared Goff was fine, 221 and 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Montgomery, 88 yards on the ground. He did have 3 for 36, no touchdown. Gibbs, 87 yards, 2 for 17. He fumbled, no touchdown.
He had a lackluster performance.
Yeah, Amon-Ra.
Anyone really missed the ball here was Gibbs.
Yeah, 5 for 73, no touchdown. J-Mo, 5 for 28, no touchdown. And the touchdown guys were both Sam Laporta, who was just 3 for 6, but he got both touchdowns and had a great game if you played him. So really, like, the Detroit guys were fine, but not what you would want on a Thursday game. Like you're expecting you have your Detroit guys going in there against a bad Bears team, and you're like, okay, I'm looking good heading into the Sunday games, and you're just looking okay.
Yeah, the Bears do have a decent enough defense, and that second half was a completely different Lions team and Bears team.
Yeah.
Like the Lions defense is riddled with injuries from defensive line, linebackers, secondary, all throughout their defense. Injuries, a lot of them.
Do they have like no edge rushers anymore?
No, every edge rusher that started on that team at the beginning of the year is now injured. Like I think it's like 6 for 6 of them are all injured. It's a crazy stat line. So you got to watch Detroit going forward just to see how they are able to pick up the injuries. Like this isn't the time to be missing all these guys. It's the time to start locking in, get ready for the playoffs, and resting guys if can be. But they're out here hoping these guys
NFC
are back.
The NFC North is so competitive that they might have to play out the season.
100%. And they have tough games coming up too. So the road for the playoffs going through Detroit, they got a lot to prove the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried about them. They're a great football team, great coach.
I think they're going to play well.
Squad. They might lose a game or two, but I still think they come out the winner of the North, and I still think they end up with the bye week in the NFC.
Okay.
Yeah, you think Philly's going to overtake them? You do.
I do. I actually, there's a chance they don't win the division. I'm not going to lie.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do play Minnesota, and they play Green Bay this week. We'll preview that.
They play Green Bay on
towards
Thursday.
the end of the pie. But
we'll talk that.
I think they're going to blow Green Bay out.
All right.
I do. But Chicago, Caleb Williams has looked great for fantasy the last 2 weeks. How are you feeling about him rest of the season? Not the best matchups. He's got San Fran this week. He's got another date with Detroit and Minnesota coming up. So, but against Detroit and against Minnesota, he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback. So
great game.
Caleb's teetering around where he's matchup proof maybe, but maybe it was just things falling in line. But Thomas Brown, the offensive coordinator who replaced Shane Waldron, is now replacing Matt Eberflus. This guy's just working his rounds through the Bears here.
Working his way up, baby.
Are you comfortable with Caleb Williams, especially this week? 6 bye weeks again, so Caleb could fall into a big stream category.
He's also playing. The snow is a lot to do with it. San Fran just could not do anything in the snow. We'll get there, but Allen ripped him up. I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to do that, but he's athletic. He can run a little bit. He can turn the wheels on. I'm cool streaming Williams for at least the remainder of the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, he's QB 14 on the year, so
yeah, he's streamable.
Not too bad. Yeah, he's kind of flying under the radar.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh, he is for sure.
Since switching to Thomas Brown, the offense looked great, but Caleb kind of sliding under the radar with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels kind of making waves as rookie quarterbacks, where Caleb's kind of the forgotten piece.
They're both on winning teams too. That helps. Your name gets brought up a lot more if you're on a winning team.
Yeah. Anything else with this game?
Just Keenan Allen and DJ Moore are really startable for the remainder of the season. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, definitely, he was almost my start of the week last week. They have really good matchups in the playoffs, and I'm even looking at San Fran as a decent matchup. I'm not gonna lie. With this offense, they're
banged up. I wouldn't be afraid to start your guys versus San Fran like you were in the past.
Yep. Yeah, I'm cool with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore going forward. Caleb is a streamer for sure. Yeah. And the Lions, you start all of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't look too much into this game as a situation
it was a weird game for Jamison Williams. Like 5 for 28 is almost the opposite. He never has 5 catches, and if he did, you would expect one of them to be 50, 70 yards, like a huge play.
Yeah,
28 yards is a weird stat line.
He did get that personal foul call where he threw a ball at one of the Bears on the sidelines, and then he actually he apologized for it. So you've seen the growth in character for him. Like he wasn't prompted to do that. Like Dan Campbell came out and was like, "Yeah, J-Mo addressed the locker room, apologized, said he was bonehead move," and so it's good. Yep. Good to see the maturity because that's been the issue with him.
Exactly. He knows what he's doing now. He's a pro.
Yeah, and regarding Keenan Allen, it'll be interesting to see what the Bears do in the offseason. He's a free agent, and he's come out and said he's either playing for the Bears or he's going back to the Chargers.
We'll see.
I like Money that talks. For the Chargers.
I don't think I don't think he's in Chicago though.
No, I don't either. I think they're going to pass the reins to DJ Moore and Roman Dunze.
I agree. I think Rome's going to be time to shine next year.
Second game on Thanksgiving. The Dallas Cowboys beat your New York Football Giants 27-20. Giants fall to 2-10. Dallas now 5-7. Cooper Rush.
Dallas is going to play themselves out of a top 10 pick. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Which honestly, for them might be good, because then it's a comfortable range to take the prospect you're going to talk about today. Whereas if they had a top 10 pick, I think they should be looking more at one of the guy you talked about last week, Will Campbell, or the other tackle in Kelvin Banks, because Tyler Guyton should be the right tackle of this team. Terrence Steele is not good. He can just be your backup, and then you draft Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks to be your left tackle, and I think you're in better shape. But we'll see. But Dallas, they're getting healthy. Michael Parsons really making a difference for this team, and you can see like he's really carrying the load on that defense. But Cooper Rush, he's been a competent quarterback after a rough start in Philly. He was 195 and a touchdown on Thursday, but it was really the Rico Dowdle show. 112 yards on 22 carries and a touchdown. He also added 3 for 11 through the air. Rico Dowdle looked great, and it is his backfield. And I've talked about it here.
Yeah.
If Rico Dowdle's getting the lion's share of the load, he's a viable RB2 going forward.
For sure. Yeah, he looked great versus us, and this offense for Dallas is rough, dude. Like, Cooper Rush has been fine. This game, you wanted it a little bit more, but it was all through Rico. So if they're going to be doing this going forward, Rush probably isn't streamable, though he does have a really good matchup coming up
Cincinnati on Monday.
In Cincinnati, yeah.
You a little worried about CeeDee Lamb then? He was only 2 for 39. If Dallas has an effective run game, he did get banged up. But if Dallas's run game's effective, Cooper Rush doesn't need to be out there hyper-targeting CeeDee Lamb.
I'm more worried that he's hurt. He left the game. He is expected to be ready for Week 14. There's a chance there's a setback, and he's not. It's the last week of the regular season. It's a huge bye week. You need CeeDee Lamb out there on the field this weekend. If he misses, you need to have someone ready, locked and ready.
Yeah, if he's not out there, I think this game against Cincinnati, which could be a big fantasy game, the Bengals defense is bad. But if he's not out there, I think it could be a game the Bengals just run away with, and we don't see much fantasy output from Dallas, and then you don't get the big, huge games from Burrow, Brown, Higgins, and Chase because the Bengals opponent can't score because the offense has no functioning stars, sans with Rico Dowdle, but he's not a star.
I think Chase Brown would be fine because they would just be running the clock down Dallas's throat.
Yeah.
But if it's a blowout, that almost takes Rico out of the game then. And then that's no CD, no Rico. Yeah. What are we looking at? Dallas, you're like, Scootman, is he playing? I don't know if Ferguson's playing.
Ferguson, it worries
if he plays,
me.
I'm not playing him.
He's still in concussion protocol, and he's been in there for 2 games now. But
yeah, it's a weird situation here at Dallas.
Part of the charm for Chase Brown, though, is his involvement in PPR. He's like a little CMC, like Cincinnati uses him everywhere.
So good, dude.
Whereas if that doesn't happen, the passes don't go his way, and then he's just a fine RB2. But with the pass load, he's a top 7 running back.
Yeah, Chase Brown for sure is like blowout proof. It doesn't matter if they're blowing him out or in close game. Chase Brown's going to be used to run the ball, or he's going to be used in the reception game. So Chase Brown is so good, dude.
Yeah, I do think his ceiling would be capped if CeeDee Lamb doesn't play. But Giants side of the ball,
it was rough, dude. Tracy was rough. He got a touchdown.
Yep. And he 32 on the ground and 33 through the air. He was splitting more time.
Also way back in the mix.
Yeah, so the fumbles clearly were part of that in my eyes. Tracy fumbled the last 2 games. Like Malik Neighbors, you're happy for it because of just the amount of work he got.
The work.
13 targets, but 8 for 69 is not great.
No.
And then nobody else in that receiving crew is even worth talking about other than him.
I agree. Going forward, Wandale's not even worth anything.
For PPR, no.
Yeah. Like, Wandale's off the table now. It's just Neighbors at this point. You're happy with the amount of work he's getting. If you would have thrown a touchdown on there, you would have loved his week. But if Drew Lock is the quarterback going forward, expect him to have 10, 13 targets every game.
Are the Giants
Danny DeVito can't do that.
I was going to say, are the Giants a better offense with Tommy DeVito? Because I feel they are. I
don't think we're a good offense regardless. You could throw any quarterback. Fair. Not any quarterback. A good quarterback would make us good. But any of these lower end schlubs, being Drew Lock, Danny DeVito, Danny Jones, even, like, these guys can't get the job done. Our offense is just inept and it's bad.
I'm actually more comfortable with Giants options if DeVito's the quarterback.
I'm way more comfortable with Neighbors if Drew Lock's the quarterback. I think he's able to target him way more.
DeVito probably plays this week, though.
If he's healthy, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he said if the game was on Sunday, he would have played. So, but that could just be player speak. Are you looking? Do you think Singletary stays in the mix, or you just think this was a one-game punishment for Tyrone Tracy? Because Tyrone Tracy's got some good matchups coming up, but if he's not handling that full workload like he was the previous 2 weeks, he's a little less juicy of a play.
I think they're gonna split time again this week again, which is a really good matchup for him. It's New Orleans, so that kind of takes him off the table for the full workload. But I think if he gets another game with him, no fumbles, he's going to get the job back for sure.
Okay.
Just to kind of prove it kind of thing.
Yeah. The Thursday night game, Miami took on the Packers in the cold tundra of Green Bay. Green Bay won 30-17. They improved to 9-3. Miami falls to 5-7. Classic case of the Dolphins. They go play a team better than them. They play in the cold. They couldn't get it done.
It was both situations, yeah. It was cold, bad for Miami. A team better than them, bad for Miami. And it showed.
Yeah. You think there's a chance Mike McDaniel could get fired this year?
I don't, with how the injuries have played Miami this year.
I agree, but I think going into next season, he is going to have a hot seat.
Yep, I 100% agree. If they're off to a rough start, I don't know if they would do him dirty and fire him midseason, but there's a chance next year is his last year in Miami if it goes like this.
Tua, though, was great for fantasy. 365 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's looked really good since the last 2 or 3 weeks here. So it's good. It's good. It's really good to see him like adjusting and getting back into things.
You love to see it.
Achane was ineffective on the ground, but he provided so much work for the pass game. 8 for 56 and a touchdown. And Tyreek Hill, 6 for 83, had a touchdown. And even Jalen Waddle was fine. 4 for 53. He did have the 2-point conversion. But it's good to see that he at least has a safe floor again, it seems, with Jalen Waddle. Whereas the previous weeks, it was like we talked about it, that you could cut him and then he fucking boomed big time. Yeah. And now this week to follow it up with a solid performance, which, if you're a Waddle owner, it does give you a little more faith heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I love when Waddle's just doing good, dude. Like he's a good football player and he's a very talented guy. Injuries are a huge problem with him. I kind of see Glad McConkey's career going very similar to the way Jalen Waddle's is. Because every time they catch the ball, they get up limping, hurt, and they just look defeated. Like, these guys look banged up 24/7. I've never seen a play where Waddle didn't limp. Waddle's always questionable. They
got to watch that Tyler Lockett tape and just fall. Tyler Lockett.
100%.
His body's
Tyler
great.
Lockett has made a long career of not getting hit, dude. And it's something that the smaller guys need to really learn how to do. Like, you can't be taking these big hits. It takes such a toll on your body.
But hey, this Miami Dolphins offense runs through Jonnu Smith, apparently, though. 10 for 113 on 11 targets. This dude probably is going to be on a ton of championship teams.
He does have like a tough tight end matchups, quote for quote, being the Jets, Houston, and San Fran. They're all red matchups for tight ends, but
he's getting so many targets where like the tight end matchup to me, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, he's not a guy who's just getting his work off 4 or 5 targets and getting touchdowns and big plays. No, this dude is getting, like 10 catches for 113. Like, Jonnu Smith, he just sits on my bench in our home league because I have Trey McBride, and I'm just like sitting here like, I got to find a way to get this guy in my lineup, but I can't. So at this point, I'm just keep I'm keeping him away from everybody else.
Yeah, teams that had really good tight ends and had the opportunity just to pick up Jonnu in your situation, you're loving it that he's not able to be another team's tight end, because tight end is such a bad position this year. And he's not like, you see these tight ends go on stretches where they're hot and it's all touchdown dependent. It's not touchdown dependent.
Yeah, he's not scoring.
The touchdowns are just bonuses for this guy's stat line. So Jonnu's going to be a for sure lock in the tight end position in the next 4 weeks fantasy football. I'm more interested in next season with Jonnu if he's there.
Yeah, I hope Miami keeps him in, because they've unlocked him, and like, he's a super incredible athlete, and he's just never really nothing's ever really gone his way. Like, you've seen the bursts with Jonnu Smith being really relevant
last year a little bit,
but it was never consistent. Whereas it seems Mike McDaniel has unlocked that for him.
And that's the kind of coach McDaniel is. I mean, we talked about it during the offseason. Like, Jonnu could easily slide into this offense and they move him around, get him open, and scheme him plays. And that's what has happened the last 6-7 weeks. Like, they are starting to really use this guy as a weapon, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah. And then Green Bay, the winning team, Jordan Love, 274 and 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs continues to be great.
So underrated this year.
I never thought we were going to say that. We were out on Josh Jacobs, and compared to consensus, we raised a bit during the offseason, but we were still never, like, people were having him top 10 RB1 range, and I just wasn't there with him. But 43 and 1, 4 for 74 through the air. Like, this is his backfield.
He finally started getting the touchdowns, and that's what he really needed to elevate his game this year. So I'm glad Green Bay's using him right.
Yeah. Jaden Reed didn't have a ton of work, but he got 2 touchdowns, 3 for 24, 23 on the ground. And nobody else of Green Bay. Tucker Kraft, 6 for 78, had a nice game. So he can stay in the streaming option as tight end here going forward. Like, I'm not worried about him as much as I would be, especially like Romeo Doubs not playing. Really is Tucker Kraft's the one who's benefiting from that.
Romeo Doubs is practicing again, so he's most likely going to be back for the Thursday game. We will find out earlier than usual because it's a Thursday game, so you're lucky in that situation. But if Romeo Doubs is back, that kind of takes Watson and Wicks out of just any type of not even worth talking about.
It would also make me worried about Tucker Kraft's consistency.
Oh,
because
100%.
Then he becomes third in pecking order behind Doubs and Reed. Friday night, Kansas City did not make the statement game we expected. They squeaked out a victory against the Vegas Raiders, 19-17. Chiefs improved to 11-1. Raiders fall to 2-10. Mahomes was good for fantasy though, 306 and a touchdown.
He was all right.
So if you're starting Patrick Mahomes, you're content with that. Pacheco's
2
back.
Good games in a row.
Yeah, Pacheco back, 44 yards on the ground, but the more it was the involvement, like 7 carries, and then Kareem Hunt also had 7 carries, but his weren't nearly as effective. He only had 15 yards, whereas Pacheco had 44. So I expect that to continue to progress, where it's eventually, like, I think Kareem Hunt will be involved a little bit, but I think it'll more favor Pacheco this week. And then I think after that it is full go for Isaiah Pacheco.
I think this upcoming week again, I think Kareem Hunt's going to have 5 carries. I think it's just going to keep going down.
Yeah, he's not worth starting anymore in fantasy. He
had his run.
If you need a roster spot too, you can just get rid of him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he had his time in the sun, but hey, man, he shined bright this year. So I love to see it. I had him for a good chunk of his really hot games. So
he was this season's Darrell Henderson for the Rams. Last year when Kyron went down, they plucked Darrell Henderson off a couch and he came in, was super effective for them. It was like a top 5 running back, and then Kyron Williams came back and they just cut Darrell Henderson. He went back
running
home.
Back's a weird thing, dude. It's just picking up guys off the street, giving them 2 weeks to get ready, and they're just plopping right in and killing it.
Knowing the system as well. Kareem Hunt's been in Kansas City before. Yeah. My start of the week, DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 90. I expected more, but it's a fine stat line. And your start of the week, Travis Kelce.
The yards are good.
Yeah. In your start of the week, Travis Kelce, good stat line for tight end, 7 for 68 on 13 targets.
Yeah, man. And Noah Gray was back there with 6
Still
targets,
involved.
dude.
Yeah,
so.
like I think like there's a world like 12-team leagues where like you might have to be picking up Noah Gray. Like say you've had Dalton Kincaid and you've just been streaming a dude the last 2 weeks because he's been out.
I would take Noah Gray.
I was gonna say, do you even want to go back to Dalton Kincaid, or say you were the team that banked on Taysom Hill? Now he's out for the year. Noah Gray's out there. Teams aren't stashing Noah Gray.
Dude, the Taysom Hill thing
it's rough. It's a shame because he's become so good. Like
he's also so old. Like no offense to him, but he's old. And like look at Cousins, look at Rodgers. These old guys are taking a long time to get back, and he's doing a lot more moving than those guys are.
Yeah, his body's taking a beating.
This might be it for Taysom Hill.
Yeah, we'll see how he progresses if he plays next year, or when he's playing next year. How effective he'll be.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. But
yeah,
it's gonna be
on
rough.
the Vegas side. Aiden O'Connell looked great.
For them. Yeah.
340, 2 touchdowns. I think he falls into a good streaming option this week with 6 buys. If you're desperate, he's got a good matchup versus Tampa. The Raiders running back room, who knows what's going on there. Amir Abdullah.
Nothing I want to be a part of.
Yeah. Amir Abdullah split time with, I got to get this guy's first name because I don't know it. Sincere McCormick.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce his first name.
Yeah. And he led the team in carries. He was 12 for 64. Like he was effective, but Alexander Madison probably back next week. So who knows what situation is going on there, but count me out on the Raiders backfield.
Yep.
Jacoby Myers, you can keep starting him 6 for 97 on 11 targets. Not looking too much into Trey Tucker's game. It was on a big play. It was just 1 for 58 and 1. He's not a guy I'm looking at. And then Brock Bowers, dude.
The GOAT. Best tight end in football right now.
No disrespect to Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. They've been incredible. Brock Bowers should be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, but it's a quarterback position, dog.
I get it, but Jaden Daniels nor Bo Nix are the best player at their position. Brock Bowers is right out the gate.
That's true.
Like,
that's a good way to look at it.
It is a shame that he's probably going to get no votes for Offensive Rookie of the Year because of the positional thing.
I wouldn't say he gets none. I don't know if there's going to be a few people out there that
first place vote him. I don't know.
The quarterbacks can kind of just cancel themselves out.
Yeah.
Like there's a chance Washington doesn't make the playoffs. Yeah. There's a chance Denver doesn't make the playoffs. Then you're really
Denver's
looking at it as
with Miami and Cincinnati losing.
Most likely. Yeah. But hey man, weirder things have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. But Brock Bowers, this dude's a stud. He's going to be tight end 1 in fantasy next year. He's a guy you're probably going to draft on the swing, the 1-2 swing in my eyes, and I'd be comfortable taking him there.
Yeah, he's way different than Laporta. Like, we never looked at Laporta as tight end 1 in the offseason. He was so touchdown dependent. Mm-hmm. Brock Bowers got 14 targets, 10 catches, and 140 yards. That's just that's a receiver game.
He's Travis Kelce. He's what Travis Kelce was to fantasy football a few years ago. And he was going first round.
The way Vegas lines him up, he's a receiver. He's 100% a receiver. Tight ends are so, I don't want to say pointless in fantasy. Like there's only a handful of good ones. And if you're getting one that's by far better than everybody else, like you said, it's the Travis Kelce effect. So getting him on the swing might be an honest to God steal at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. He might be a guy you can even consider. He might fall in the first round contention next year.
I don't think next year, but there's a chance the year after
if he
does
this again. Yeah,
he's first round guy.
But yeah, with Vegas, it's just him and Jacoby Myers for fantasy relevance here going forward. I don't want to mess around with that run game.
Yeah, for sure.
Chiefs,
I agree.
I think Pacheco might, if you've hung on to him, might help you in the playoffs. We'll see. But they're a tough team to read.
They also have really rough running matchups, dude. Like the Chargers are hard to run on. The Browns are hard to run on. Houston's hard to run on, and then even Pittsburgh the final week. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It would be really hard for me to start Pacheco going forward unless I really see them giving him the rock.
If he comes out next week and has like 15 to 20 carries, I think you can just put him in your lineup just based off workload.
That's true. Yeah.
And then receivers. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm not really messing around with Worthy. And Kelsey lock him in.
Yeah, no, I'm not a Worthy guy.
First Sunday slate, Chargers beat Atlanta 17-13. Chargers improved to 8-4. Atlanta 6-6. This game wasn't really great for fantasy. Sans Bijan Robinson and Ladd McConkey. Drake London was fine too.
Drake London had a good game. But dude, I got Bijan at the trade deadline in our home week, and like the first 2 drives, he had like 16 points. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It was amazing. Finished with 27 in full point PPR. He had a great game, dude. Like, he was by far the best talent on the field today.
Yeah, 102 and a touchdown, 6 grabs for 33 yards. It's great to see Atlanta finally. Like, I like Tyler Algier. He's a talented running back.
They're still using him.
But, like, it has shifted where it's, like, way more than, like, it's not as split as it was at the beginning of the year. It has shifted towards Bijan is carrying the majority of this work.
But even like the 8 carries and the 1 catch, like that's still 9 opportunities in a game. I want that a little bit lower. Like, give Bijan it all, dude. Give it the Chase Brown special. Like, what are we doing here with Bijan? He was the top pick for the reason. So, nothing against Tyler Algier. He had 1,000 yards his rookie year, but come on, dude. You're not Bijan. What are we doing?
And Bijan played 75% of the snaps, which is higher than his normal work. Usually low 70s.
Low 70s, high 80s. Or high 60s, low 70s.
Yeah. So, and I think that'll continue to shift because Kirk Cousins is inept right now. 4 interceptions, 245 yards. He is not looking great, and now he gets to face blitz-happy Brian Flores. But it could be a revenge game for Kirk. You can pass on Minnesota, so we'll see how that pans out for him.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose to Minnesota, they fall below 500, and eventually people are going to start chirping to get Michael Penix in there. Like, you spent a top 10 draft pick on this guy. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, dude, Cousins have been playing. He's such a weird season. He's had huge flashes.
Versus 2 good Tampa. Games. That's it.
They're both versus Tampa. This game versus Dallas was fine, but like, other than that, dude, it's just been nothing you want to see out of Kirk.
Like, I think that
injury really got to him, and his age.
I hope that's what it is, because I love Kirk Cousins, but I am worried that, like, and Atlanta can't get rid of him next year, so he's going to be there. So that's just another year.
I think they're fine playing it one more season with Kirk just to test it out. But if he's playing like this all of next season, he's not going to finish the starter. Penix will be in at some point.
Yeah, but despite that, Drake London, 16 targets, 9 catches for 86 yards. He was great. Mooney was banged up, didn't really do much, 3 for 20.
He was hurt going into the game.
Kyle Pitts, we're back to the bad ride. You can cut him,
dude.
Not even worth rostering. Second goose of the season. Only 2 targets.
He had such a good run, dude, and then they just stopped using him. It just switched. I don't know what happened. How do you go from 491 and 2 touchdowns to having 6 catches in 5 weeks after that game?
No idea.
Like, I don't know what Atlanta is doing with Kyle Pitts, but it's not anything good, useful, helpful, fantasy relevant. They've made him useless. Yep. It's heartbreaking.
And Justin Herbert on the other side, not great for fantasy either. He only had 147 yards. Yeah. And most of them went to Ladd McConkey, who had 117 of them on 9 catches. Yeah. So Ladd McConkey, great game for fantasy and nothing else for the Chargers. Gus Edwards led the team in carries, but only had 32 yards.
They played like shit.
And, I mean, Vidal nor Haskins did much better. Haskins had 1 carry and he fumbled it. And then Vidal was 4 for 20. He had the Knicks special. And then the other Chargers receiver, and then Will Dissly, the guy we've been hyping up because of his schedule, he goosed as well.
He goosed, dude. Yeah, Will Dissly went back to being what Will Dissly has been his whole career, and it's not surprising, I'm not going to lie. But, man, he does have a juicy schedule coming up.
I'd be willing to give him 1 more week.
I agree.
I think this was an outlier game for the Chargers.
Let's quick talk about Quentin Johnson, though. He's had a couple big drops the last 2 weeks. Yeah. And I kind of think he's back in his head now.
It's rough, yeah. Harbaugh needs to figure it out with him. And I would keep him on the field, keep getting him the ball or attempting to, because if you stop targeting him and benching him, it's not going to help him at all.
It's not going to help, but it is almost like that one drop 2 weeks ago just completely deset him and put him back right where he was.
Yeah,
it broke all the progress we had, and it's kind of sad to see him play. He's a completely different player right now.
Yeah, I'd be just trying to get him little screen passes and hope it breaks him. He's a yak guy. He can run. He's got great after the catch ability. So that's what I'd be trying to do, just doing dump offs to him instead of just trying to hit him in the middle of the field or hitting him deep.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you got to get him involved, like screen him in.
Big game for fantasy, though. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. The Steelers won 44-38. Bengals fall to 4-8. Pittsburgh improves to 9-3. Russell Wilson, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception. On the other side of the ball, Joe Burrow, 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
The Bengals line really letting Pittsburgh get to Joe. And if you watch his presser, that boy's defeated. He is. The Bengals franchise doesn't deserve Joe Burrow.
Yeah, you sent me the video of his presser, and that's what I responded. I'm like, Cincinnati just doesn't deserve this guy. Like, he is better than the Cincinnati Bengals. Him, Chase, Higgins, Chase Brown. Like, all 4 of these guys are better than whatever defense is out there with Cincinnati.
Like, their defensive coordinator is a good coach, Lou Amarillo, but it's just not working. Fire him, bring in somebody, and try to work around the pieces. The defense has also been banged up this year. Like, the offense isn't the problem. That they can win games with this crew.
It's never been the offense.
Yeah. So that's why I think Zach Taylor's going to stay, unfortunately. He's the offensive coach. So he'll be there next year. They just got to figure out this defense. Chase Brown, you brought him up, though. Another great game, 12 for 70 and 1. He had 3 catches for 30 yards. He has been so great for fantasy since becoming the guy here in Cincinnati.
Yep, and full point PPR since really taking over like the snaps. 28, 22, 19, bye week 21. And that's full point PPR, and he's been unbelievable in those 4-game stretch. Like, he's so good. Hopefully they just keep giving him the rock, dude.
Yeah, like they've fallen into a reliable running back and an easy transition away from Joe Mixon, because they didn't have that early on when they were splitting the time with them. But Chase Brown's RB14 on the year in full PPR, but if he had this full workload, he's probably up there with Joe Mixon and Devon Achane and Josh Jacobs and those guys, teetering around the top 10.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him in that kind of category yet with just a couple game stretch, but I'm very interested in him next year. If they commit to him as the full-time Joe Mixon role in Cincinnati, Chase Brown should be going towards the RB1 territory.
Yeah, I agree. And Jamar Chase, 6 for 86 and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 5 for 69 and a touchdown.
Yeah, both those guys good.
Even Yoshi Voss scored.
Yeah,
but he's a good dynasty hold
keeping
on.
My baby boy
because
Burton off the field.
Jermaine Burton is not playing offense anymore. He's just doing special teams.
Is that where he got these points from?
Yeah, all kick return.
Okay.
Yards.
Hey, he's on the field
Jermaine
somehow.
Burton.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And Pittsburgh, mentioned Russ. Was great. Najee, 16 for 75. He scored a touchdown.
I would just like to quick put this out there.
6 grabs for 54 yards.
In no world would Justin Fields have scored 44 points this game. It's just not in the realm of possibilities. Russell Wilson is such a better quarterback than Justin Fields.
And Najee out receiving Jalen Warren.
So good.
Warren did have 4 catches for 55 yards, so he was some relevance there. And George Pickens, 3 for 74 and 1. You going to chase Calvin Austin getting a touchdown, or you just
no? He had a big performance earlier with Wilson.
What about Freiermuth? Pat Freiermuth was 6 for 68 and a touchdown.
Yeah,
he's got a nice matchup this week.
Even the week before, he was 4 for 59. But nah, I'm not really in on Freiermuth.
Okay.
There are a lot of buys this week, though, but...
Yeah, he might fall into where you might have to play him, again, if you were starting Taste. Yeah. I think I would start Freiermuth over Will Dissly.
Yeah, at this point, for sure.
I'd start him over Kyle Pitts,
had 2 bad starts. Oh, yeah, 100%. Kyle Pitts is unstartable at this point.
Yeah. Anyone else in that game? Like Gesicki?
No, not really. Gesicki went 5 for 53, which is surprising with Higgins on the field. Usually not used.
He's got to get touchdowns to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Houston.
I would start Freiermuth over Gesicki, though.
Yes, I agree. Okay. Houston Texans beat the Jaguars 23-20. Jags fall to 2-10. Texans improved to 8-5.
There was some scumbag shit behavior in this game.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence got knocked out by Al Shahir, the Texans linebacker, and then it called the whole brawl. That guy got ejected and has now been suspended for 3 games, which he is appealing.
Yeah. So I would assume they'll have a decision after the bye week.
Yeah.
So the bye week doesn't count towards the suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So the games he's missing would be 15, 16, 17 instead of 14, 15, 16 because of their bye week.
Yep.
So I would expect them to speed through the appeal.
So Mac Jones came in relief for Trevor Lawrence and was all right. 20 for 32, 235, and 2 touchdowns. Now, do you think that was more because he's the backup quarterback coming in, so Houston wasn't prepped for him?
Yes.
You don't
100%.
You don't think Mac Jones comes out and does this next week against the Titans?
No, I do not. So Mac Jones looked like absolute trash in his 2 starts.
So fade your Jaguars because
100%.
Parker Washington had 12 targets. He was 6 for 103 and 1. My guy Brian Thomas Jr.
It's
had
about
10
time.
targets.
It's about time Parker Washington stepped up. When Kirk went down, I loved him coming out, and he's had flashes last season. When Kirk went down, I'm like, okay, it's his time to step up with him and Brian Thomas, and it just didn't happen at all. And then it came, and I'm like, okay, so let's keep this rolling.
He out-targeted BTJ. Brian Thomas had 10 targets. He was 4 for 76 and a touchdown. Great game for fantasy, though.
Big game.
It's going to be tough if Mac Jones is the quarterback, but 6 bye weeks isn't going to help. So you might be having to put Brian Thomas Jr. in your lineup. I would stash Parker Washington if I had a roster spot available if Trevor Lawrence comes back.
I agree. I think he's really, really helpful in this Jacksonville's offense if Trevor Lawrence is out there healthy. But unfortunately, we were stuck with Mac Jones probably this week, so kind of hurts.
Tank Bigsby was back, 7 for 28. Travis Etienne was 13 for 46. I don't want to start either of those guys. Yeah, Travis Etienne's been a big disappointment this year.
He's been banged up. Javonte Williams.
Well, Javante's not playing this week, so I will start Travis.
I just meant going forward the rest of the season.
Oh, Etienne. Javonte had 4 carries for -1 yards.
He had a tutty.
I don't care, and he still didn't help me. I'll take the workload that I'm guaranteed with Etienne over hoping to God Javonte Williams scores a touchdown.
I don't know how he had the. I don't know why he had the first drive. He had negative yards the game before as well.
Don't know.
So he wasn't even the hot hand the game prior.
Nope.
So why did he get this? It doesn't make sense what's going on.
It might be Jaleel McLaughlin's running. It might be Jaleel McLaughlin's backfield. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't want any of it.
Maybe.
Though.
Yeah, I don't want any part. Exactly.
Texans, CJ Stroud. He's probably not even worth rostering anymore in fantasy. He's got a bye week this week. I would consider dropping. No,
it's hard to talk about, but you and I were talking about it before the pod actually, because he's your home league quarterback.
He is my home league quarterback, and I don't want him to be anymore.
Week 12, he was a top 12 quarterback, but that's because there was a bunch of bye weeks. He didn't have a great week. And if you want to go top 12 before that, it was week 4 versus Jacksonville. So he hasn't been startable from week 4 to 12. He shouldn't have been started.
Yeah.
In one quarterback leagues, man. So it's a rough call to call before the playoffs. You're calling your shot for sure.
Well, yeah. But he was 242 and 1. Joe Mixon, great again. 20 for 101 and a touchdown, 4 for 18 through the air. Nico Collins, great again. 8 for 119 on 11 targets. Tank Dell, get rid of him. You can cut him. 1 for 23.
Yep.
He's not worth hanging on to, especially here going into the playoffs. He's not going to be a guy. Like, you're fine with that.
You got the bye week coming up, and you got Miami and Kansas City, so you're just not going to play him in the playoffs. He's just, but you can move on.
Dalton Schultz, 5 for 61 and a touchdown.
That's
you
fine.
messing around? I'm not. Yep. We didn't even touch on Evan Ingram. He was 7 for 41, the classic Evan Ingram. He's fine if you got to start him.
I think this was the first time all season Dalton Schultz was a top 12 tight end.
Way to go, buddy. He also broke double digits. I remember we brought that up with Jalen Waddle.
It's also his first touchdown of the year. It is his first game with double digits. That is unbelievable.
Way to go, Dalton Schultz. Proud of you. Even with the bye weeks, I'm not messing around with Dalton Schultz. I feel bad if you have to, though. Like, say you banked at Taysom Hill, and Dalton Schultz might be the best guy on your waivers, and that's a rough life to live.
No, he's not. He's not. I can promise you he's not. Send me your waiver wires, and I will tell you who the best tight end is. It's not Dalton Schultz. I can tell you that much.
I was looking at one of our leagues, and it was like Dalton Schultz, Noah Fant, Cole Kmet were like the top 3 tight ends on waivers, and Juwan Johnson.
I am in that league, and let me tell you something. I have Isaiah Likely, and I just keep trying to cut him every week when I do my lineups, and I'm like, there's no one better on free agents. I got to stop trying to cut this guy.
It's a rough life if teams are stashing out tight ends where Dalton Schultz might be an option. But
it's also a big league. It's a 12-team league, and we start a lot of players in that league. One more than a normal roster, and our benches are too deep besides a normal roster. So that's 3 extra spots that are taken up that aren't on free agents. And free agents is rough, dude. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Texans, it's really Nico, Joe Mixon for me. Nobody else going forward.
I agree.
Minnesota and Arizona, Vikings snuck out 23-22. Big win for them. They improved 10-2. Arizona falls to 6-6. Streak is over. I picked against the Cardinals and they lost. So
good.
Yep. Kyler Murray though, it was good for fantasy. He had 48 yards on the ground, 260 yards through the air. Did throw 2 interceptions, had a touchdown. Sam Darnold also was good. 235 and 2. He had a big 4th down drive. Better real life game for Sam Darnold than fantasy, even though his fantasy numbers were fine. The running backs in this game were just ho hum. James Conner got the work. 17 for 68, 3 for 13. Aaron Jones fumbled and got benched at one point where Ty Chandler and Cam Akers were in for a while. But Aaron Jones did score the game-winning touchdown. So keep an eye on that because Kevin O'Connell has been big on ball security last year. We went through it with Alexander Madison constantly fumbling. And Aaron Jones has now fumbled in 3 straight games.
Aaron Jones, I'm worried, but I'm not worried because he doesn't have much behind him. James Conner the last 2 weeks is kind of stuttered. And he's got Seattle again where he stuttered before. He was 7 for 8.
That was a weird involvement game, the game against Seattle.
It was a game they needed to run, and they just weren't using James Conner.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned with Conner. He's got a good matchup. Playoff schedule, New England.
Yeah, playoffs he does.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison, your start of the week, 5 for 60 and a touchdown. Good game. Justin Jefferson on the other side, 7 for 99. Michael Wilson outperformed Jordan Addison.
Michael Wilson had a crazy catch. I don't know if you've seen any of it.
I did.
I did. They tipped twice. It was beautiful. It was a great catch.
Yeah. Johnny Munt, Vikings third string tight end, 2 for 22 and a touchdown, outscored TJ Hawkinson, who was 3 for 28.
I seen this is actually blowing my mind. If you would have asked me what Johnny Munt's stat line was before this podcast right now, I would have said he had at least had 5 catches. Only because I seen both of his catches. And both of them, I would have figured he would have had more than 2. I was so mad that it wasn't Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I have Hawkinson in so many leagues. And apparently it was only 2 catches, but goddamn it, I wanted both of those catches for Hawkinson.
One was a touchdown, so yeah.
Yeah, the Hawkinson's 3 for 28 is not getting the job done. So pump those numbers up, Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Munt out here just vulturing touchdowns. That's 2 receiving touchdowns on the year for Johnny Munt. That's 2 more than Trey McBride, who was 12 for 96.
That's 2 more than TJ Hawkinson.
Oh. Hawkinson's only played 5 games.
I don't care.
Trey McBride's played all year. and he's had no receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, that's insane. He has like a fumble recovery and like a rushing touchdown or some shit like that, right?
And Trey McBride is tight end 2 on the season.
Man.
So, PPR-wise, Trey McBride's great, and I'm not going to complain too much, but I would love a touchdown because his ceiling would be Brock Bowers at that point.
He only had like 3 tutties last year. He's not a real touchdown guy. I expect him to finish with 1 or 2, but
he's got 2.
No, I meant receiving touchdowns.
He's got less receiving touchdowns than Josh Allen.
That is true. That's crazy. That's weird, but yeah, he's so good though, PPR wise.
Yeah, and Arizona, it is going rest of season.
It's him and
Kyler,
Marv and Connor.
Marv and Connor. Yep, they're an easy team to fantasy wise. Same with Minnesota. Jefferson, Jones.
I look at Murray as you could stream Murray out if you have a better option.
But I wouldn't be like forcing my way to get Kyler Murray out of my lineup.
No, I'm not huge on the Seattle matchup this week to get into the playoffs, but I do like New England and Carolina a lot. Last week, it would be championship week. It's versus the Rams. So, division game, you're looking for a shootout. You might not get it.
Yeah, so we'll see there for Kyler. I like Kyler going forward. Like I said, I wouldn't force him out of my lineup. Like, I would start him over Sam Darnold.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But I like Darnold as a streaming option, though.
Yeah. Indianapolis versus New England. Colts won 25-24. Went for it. 2-point conversion to win the game at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Colts improved to 6-7. And New England falls to 3-10. My start of the week, Anthony Richardson, was a QB1 this week. He did it. I'm so proud of him.
He did it.
Classic game for him. 12 for 24. 109
that's
yards.
Not classic because that's 50%, and that might be a season high. So
that's 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, had another touchdown on the ground. So 3 total touchdowns for him. I saw he got a passing touchdown to Johnny Taylor, so I'm like, all right, we're getting Johnny Taylor involved in the passing game. Nope, that was it. None after that. But he did get 25 carries for 96 yards, so you do love to see that.
Taylor looked great in the run game,
touchdown.
And the one target was weird because the pocket broke down and Richardson had to scramble to the outside, and he could have dinked it over a defender, and it just landed right in Taylor's hand. And I'm like, he threw to Jonathan Taylor. I was truly shocked, and he got a touchdown out of it. So keep doing that. Keep getting Jonathan Taylor the ball.
Michael
the best
Pittman,
guy on the team.
5 for 42. Alex,
it's not terrible, but
getting the touchdown. 2 for 16.
Exactly.
And 1. He had 6 targets though. Colts, they're tough to trust the receivers with Anthony Richardson, but Anthony Richardson is a guy you can stream rest of the season. Jonathan Taylor, you're going to lock in your lineup and hope
Taylor's a lock. Yeah,
he can get a touchdown. If he gets a touchdown onto his stat line, no matter where it is, he's a low end RB1.
And he's got a decent lineup matchup wise. He's got Denver, Tennessee's going to be rough, but then he ends with the Giants.
Yeah,
so I'm not really thrilled with any of the receivers going forward. Josh Downs isn't even guaranteed to be back after the bye yet. So I'm looking at just Taylor's really the only lock here for Indianapolis going forward.
Agree. And then New England. Does New England have a lock? Is it Ramondre?
No, because Gibson had the touchdown, and he had 62 yards on the ground too. And none of the receivers are even worth it. Freaking Austin Hooper got in the end zone. 4 for 40. He had the Evan Ingram special, but he added the touchdown.
Yeah. Hunter Henry was 7 for 75.
Drake May doesn't even have a lock. Drake May looked really good.
Drake May's he's had his ups and downs, but it's promising. You see it in Drake May.
I'm fine with my rookie quarterback having spike weeks, but as long as I'm seeing in the bad games that they're able to put the turnovers behind them, keep moving forward, keep playing from behind, show that dog mentality. Drake May's got everything you want from a starting quarterback. He's poised to have a phenomenal future.
Yeah, plus ton of rushing upside.
Yeah, that's true. All of the QBs in this draft. May's got some wheels. Caleb's got some wheels. Bo Nix has some wheels. Jaden Daniels obviously has the best wheels of the set. So I'm pretty interested to see what JJ McCarthy can do here on his bummed ACL. But he moved around in college pretty nice.
ACL.
So
TCL. His ACL's fine. His ACL's good, intact.
I thought it was Achilles, to be honest, but that's the Kirk Cousins injury.
No. And then Michael Penix has stone feet. He's not running.
I'm not even worried about him ever moving. He doesn't need to move. He's got the rocket arm, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, but Drake May, 59 yards on the ground, 238 through the air, had a touchdown. You see the flashes for him. Seattle.
I believe Drake May is averaging the most yards per rushing quarterback history.
Yeah.
I believe that's an actual fact. Like, he's on pace to break Michael Vick's record for yards per attempt for a quarterback. So Drake May's out here running well, dude.
Maybe he's got the wheels, the best wheels.
Nope, that's still Jaden Daniels.
Jaden
Daniels.
Seattle beat the Jets somehow. I watched part of this game. The Jets were walking all over them, man.
You called the Jets upset, and I'm like, this guy's dumb. And then the game started with a Jets touchdown, a Seattle turnover, a Jets touchdown, a Seattle turnover, a Seattle turnover. And I'm like, what is going on? And then thankfully, the Jets became the Jets.
And even Seattle scored on a Rodgers turnover, and the Jets had a kick return. And I'm like, man.
Yeah.
The Jets, like, this gut feeling was right. And then, like, I stopped watching, and I come back and see that they lost.
The touchdown from the Seattle was a sweet Leonard Williams, 80, 90-yard interception return. Big shout out to that guy in a revenge game. He was drafted by the Jets, and he had an amazing game this week.
Yeah, he was great. But yeah, Seattle snuck out of there. The Jets are also the first team to lose to two quarterbacks they drafted in the same season. They lost to Sam Darnold earlier this year. Now they lost to Geno Smith. I
didn't know that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. Geno, though, he was just okay, 206-1. Can we get Ken Walker a touchdown? Like, they gave it to Charbonnet. So Ken Walker here, he's becoming real, like, shaky fantasy-wise.
He's
16 for 49.
Back end of the season. He just started off so hot, dude.
2 for -3. Like, I don't know if him being banged up earlier and he's still just playing through an injury. What's going on there? He's someone to monitor. But it's, in essence, Seattle's fantasy options weren't great. Like, JSN was only 4 for 74. DK was 4 for 66.
JSN turned it on. Like, he had a really good real life game. I get the stat line fantasy wise, always 4 for 74, but he played really well. So did DK.
And then Rodgers,
a rough transition to fantasy. Rodgers,
he looked okay at times.
Nice
there were some flashes where I'm like, hey, Aaron Rodgers, and then 21 for 39. That's not like Aaron Rodgers. That's real bad completion percentage.
Yeah, that's not.
That's an Anthony Richardson level stuff. 2 touchdowns, interception. Breece Hall wasn't getting it going. 12 for 60, and then no involvement in the pass game.
Really wasn't. Just wasn't there.
Isaiah Davis, draft legend. We liked him coming out. 3 for 28 and a touchdown. It was good to see him get some involvement. Braylon Allen didn't do much. 5 for 11. And then the passing game was Devontae Adams. You were happy with that. 5 for 66 and a touchdown. And Garrett Wilson, 5 for 41.
Wilson should have had a touchdown. Rodgers missed him on a clear touchdown where Wilson separated beautifully. And that's not like Rodgers. Like, it was an easy throw to make to a wide open Wilson. So
yeah.
But Adams looked great, though. Adams looked like Devontae Adams.
Yeah, he's starting to perk back up here. A couple weeks in his offense, getting familiar. He's on the rise, definitely in fantasy, and that's coming from me. Former Jets legend, Izzy Abanikanda, he signed today with the 49ers. So we'll keep an eye on that while their running backs are out.
Yep, besides Garendo. I hope to God they give Izzy a shot, dude. Like, Izzy coming out of Pittsburgh, I was huge on Izzy. He was my second ranked running back above Gibbs
stuff.
Yeah, this is way before a podcast. But Abanikanda was my dude coming out, dude. So nothing better than the Shanahan system, dude. I hope to God he shines. Yeah, and they got your guy Garendo, dude. So
yeah, both great one-cut runners. So I hope they both do well there. Moving on, Tennessee got stomped by Washington, 42-19. Titans fall to 3-9.
Stomped, dude.
The Commanders improved to 8-5. Jaden Daniels 4 tutties, 206 and 3 through the air, and he had 34 and 1 on the ground. Will Levis, no turnovers, 212, 2 touchdowns. He's looked better here. I think Tennessee I wouldn't say they're safe from drafting a quarterback, but they might not be in the range where they can get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, and then they can get. I wouldn't address quarterback. I agree. I think they go one more year with Levis.
I agree. I think they're going to give Will the shot next year. I don't see him drafting a quarterback.
Titans running game though, Pollard
not there.
35 yards, and it wasn't there because this game was over early. Washington went up.
Pollard had a big early. Fumble too, very early on.
Yeah. But Brian Robinson came in. No Austin Eckler, 16 for 103 and 1 for B-Rob. And then their backup, Chris Rodriguez, 13 for 94 and a touchdown. And then even Jeremy McNichols. He
wasn't even like the backup. Like McNichols was supposed to be the backup, but Rodriguez was claimed off, or he was promoted from practice squad.
Yeah.
We seen him there last year, though. He played well when he shined. He shined last year a little bit.
Yeah.
He played with Will Levis in college, right?
Yeah, both went to Kentucky.
Okay. Yeah.
So Rodriguez was mostly just the game was out of hand and he was just killing clock.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
But I wouldn't. McNichols is a guy to keep an eye on with Eckler going on IR. He's going to fall into that role, I think, in more normal scripted games for them.
Yeah, I guess they do like Chris Rodriguez though. Like it's weird. He's also a nice catch guy. He has some hands.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye. We'll see how that goes up. I would lean more McNichols.
Personally, I agree, but I'm just very still surprised that Rodriguez was this much involved. I get it was like blowout territory, but why not just use McNichols at that point?
Yeah. Passing game, Terry McLaurin, 8 for 73, 2 touchdowns.
Dude. Terry McLaurin is having himself a season. Wide receiver 4 in full point PPR. And he started off real slow. Like, we got to remember that. Like, those first few games were duds. He also had that dud game versus Philly where he had a catch.
Yep.
So his games have been hot.
And Zach Ertz is on a heater. 3 straight games with a touchdown. 3 for 35 and a tutty for Zach Ertz.
Well, Zach Ertz he's going to finish a top 12 tight end, dude. Like, it's going to be crazy.
Yep. But
what year is it, dude?
But he's not on a touchdown heater like Nick Westbrook-Akine. He did it again. 2 touchdowns on Sunday.
He made up for that one game he didn't have one.
Yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7 of 8 for Nick Westbrook-Akine. He's a free agent coming into the offseason. I'll be interested if he gets a bag. Touchdown guy. I think he's a guy to keep an eye on. You could probably stream him this week with all the bye weeks.
He's having such a weird season.
Yeah. 8 targets.
Almost half of his catches are touchdowns. He has 20 catches on the year.
And 8 touchdowns.
8 touchdowns. This season is it's so weird, dude.
Yeah. But he had 8 targets on Sunday, which was nice to see. Only holding 3 for 61.
Like almost all the snaps. He played 100% of snaps this week.
He's a run blocking guy. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee keeps him.
So much. I agree. I think he's back in Tennessee next year.
Yeah. And it's Calvin Ridley had 7 targets, but he only 2 for 45. So Nick Westbrook-Akine, they got good matchups going forward. I personally wouldn't mess around with it, but I'm not going to fault you for putting him in your lineup if you're looking for a touchdown guy.
Like
this week,
people were doubting him, and he went out there and he did it twice.
Yeah, like this week coming up, 6 bye weeks, him in a lineup makes sense. Going forward, though, full slates. That's your shot to call, but
they got the matchups.
I'm not going to blame you.
Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Jacksonville to end the season on the championship week. So going forward, it's all green.
Him or Calvin Ridley?
Oh my God.
The fact that you have to think about it is...
I'd probably lean Calvin Ridley.
I would still go Ridley, yeah. But kudos to Nick Westbrook-Akine.
It's close.
Yep.
It is close.
Tampa Bay beat Carolina in overtime, 26-23. Bucks improved to 6-6. They're tied for the division lead now, but Atlanta does have the tiebreaker. They beat them twice. Carolina, 3-9, but they're playing good football for a 3-9 team. Bryce Young.
This is almost like the best football Carolina could play. Like, you don't want to win. You don't want to screw yourself out of a pick.
Yeah.
But you want to show that you're competitive, and they took
Bryce
the
Young
Chiefs to the limits. They took the Bucks to the overtime.
Played his way into starting there next year. They shouldn't be drafting a quarterback. They have too many other needs.
Benching Bryce Young it has been such a good decision for that guy. It was obviously the spark he needed. He's had a touchdown in every single game that he's come back in. So
yeah, and you're seeing the flashes from him. Like the stuff from college, you're seeing it now. He's moving around. His accuracy's been better. He's making smarter plays. Like he's playing better than CJ Stroud right now. I said that 2-3 weeks ago.
He literally had 0 touchdowns until he was starting again. Like every game he played up until he was benched, he had none. And then getting benched, he just had time to sit back, realize that you don't need to go out there and make hero balls. You can check down, make safe plays, and it drives you down the field and it puts you in a chance to win games at the end of games. As long as you're managing games, 100%, they should have won Kansas City too.
Chuba Hubbard fumbled in overtime, and that was gut-wrenching. He didn't have a great game otherwise, 12 for 43 with that fumble. Johnny Brooks, he was involved at least, 3 for 23 through the air, 6 for 18, yeah.
Him with the ball in his hands, you could see that he has the moves.
Yeah, and then you called this Adam Thielen, 8 for 99 and a touchdown.
He's got those fresh legs, dog.
Yeah.
It just made a lot of sense to me.
Yep. Leggett had 8 targets as well, 4 for 53. David Moore again, 9 targets, 5 for 40. And Tommy Tremble had 8 targets, 5 for 77 with no Jatavian Sanders. So we'll see if Sanders comes back, if he kind of gets that target share, those 8 targets, because that'd be big.
Sanders is trending to come back this week.
Oh, good for him. Scary injury.
So it was just but they got Philly. I'm almost out on every single Panther next week.
Yeah. I wouldn't be trying to play the Panthers this week.
I'm honestly probably out on every Panther. It's not almost every. It is every. I'm out on, even Chuba. This is a bad game for Chuba this week.
See how they play, though. See if they can keep doing what they've been doing here against Philadelphia.
If they don't go out there and get curb stomped by Philly, I will be thoroughly impressed with whatever outcome. If they lose by 10, I'd still be impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and the line's 12 for that game.
See that? So it was under the line, and yeah.
Baker, your start of the week wasn't great. 235, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
No, he was not.
Which Mike Evans was great though. 8 for 118 and 1. Welcome back, Big Mike. Cade Otton, 4 for 20. He got the Knicks special as well against the team who's the worst against tight ends. He didn't do it this week, but you know who did? Drafted Up podcast favorite, Bucky Irving, 25 for 152 and 1, 3 for 33 through the air. Bucky Irving, this is his backfield now.
Oh yeah, 100%. And he played that game with a bummed hip. He got hurt on a play that fucked his hip up. It didn't stop him at all. Like, he played so well. And just everything you've seen in Oregon is just translating to the pros. Like, I get he didn't test well at the combine. He didn't run well, and he looked slow. He plays so fast. He plays so smooth. He's such a natural runner. He's a good running back, dude. And going forward, I don't think Rachaad White is their back at all.
He makes Rachaad White a better running back, though. Since Bucky Irving's been, Rachaad White's been way more efficient on 11 for 76 is a great line for Rachaad White. He just wasn't involved in the passing game, was only 1 for 2. He did get the overtime drives, though. Rachaad White did. So he's still going to be involved, but Bucky Irving, I think, has way more upside than Rachaad White. Bucky Irving might fall into that low-end RB1 contention rest of season. He's got a great schedule.
Yeah, he's definitely in that 12 to 14 range, 15 range for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think he finishes going from here to the end of the season fantasy-wise? Bucky Irving finishes RB
12.
Yeah, I would say like 13 or 14. I'll go 14.
Before moving on, Cade Otton, you worried?
Oh, I have been for a while, and now it just keeps getting worse. But this was the matchup. Like, Carolina was the worst ranked matchup in football, and you went out there for 4 for 20, dude. Like, that's not acceptable. But now you got huge bye week. Taysom Hill's out for the year, so
yeah.
Like, if you picked up Hill in case Otten shit the bed since Mike Evans is back, and he has, you Taysom Hill's gone, so you're stuck back with Kate Otten now. So it's gonna be a bumpy road. Like, I have him and Hawkinson, and I wouldn't even think about starting Otten over Hawkinson. Hawkinson had a shit week too, but I'm still starting Hawkinson.
The Rams improved to 6-6, beating the Saints 21-14. Saints fall to 4-8. Matt Stafford 2 touchdowns, 183 through the air. Kyron Williams back in the end zone, 104 and a touchdown.
Thank God.
Wish he got more involvement in the passing game, but hey, 1 for 9, you'll take the touchdown. Blake Corum was also really involved, 8 for 42.
He has been last week. He's been getting more involved a little bit, and it's kind of worrisome.
Yep. Puka 5 for 56 and a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson 2 for 49, touchdown. Cooper Kupp 3 for 17.
Get to bed.
And the Saints are like one of the worst teams at stopping slot receivers. They're one of the better teams at the too high, which Cooper Kupp then should be dominated, but they did a great job of stopping Cooper Kupp. So kudos to the New Orleans defense.
It seems that they made that their main objective. They shadowed him all game. Like, I watched a lot of it. Cooper Kupp was in motion a lot, like he always is. They just couldn't get him open, and they were just hyper targeting Puka at some points. Robinson ended up in the end zone, which took away from Cooper Kupp. That the route Robinson ran was Cooper's route. Like, it was just an up and out and right into the end zone. You see Cooper Kupp scoring that eight times fucking a year last year, 2 years ago, whenever he had that huge season. So it's just a rough game. Man, I'm not thrilled with Cooper Kupp going forward because of that. They got Buffalo, they got San Fran, they got the Jets. Like, that's a rough matchups on paper. So
yeah, I'd be more comfortable with Nakua than Kupp if I had to choose one.
Yeah, we talked about that 2 weeks ago, and I said I would take Kupp, but no, you were right. I would take Puka going forward.
Saints, Taysom Hill, we've brought up the injury out for the year, which is a shame. And 5 carries on the ground for 10 yards, 5 for 37 through the air. So he did have some nice fantasy relevance for you pre-injury there for him, but his involvement was crazy, and he might have been one of those guys who won team championships if he were missing a piece of tight end because of how much involvement he was getting. He became a floor guy, essentially. It wasn't a matter of, is it a Taysom Hill game? Are they going to gadget in place? No, they were using him everywhere. He was getting percentage of snaps. He was playing all the time.
And that was always the thing with Taysom Hill. It was never if he gets in. It's always if he gets involved, he will be productive. You just didn't know when he would be involved. There would be games he's not involved at all. But the last 3-4 weeks, whatever it's been, he's been so involved, and it just sucks that it's ended this way this season. At least, hopefully,
Alvin Kamara, he's the guy in New Orleans still. 23 for 112. 4 grabs for 7 yards, but
he had a touchdown taken back too.
Yeah,
he should have scored.
It's really the Saints passing game. Where does it go? Do you lean Juwan Jennings? He had 7 targets, 5 for 36. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, he scored again, but he was only 2 for 36.
MVS is really the only option from this passing game.
You're willing to take a shot on,
especially next week you don't know where it's going to go with Taysom Hill out. You have no idea where those targets can go because he's such a versatile player.
Giants are one of the best teams at stopping tight ends for fantasy, and that's who they got.
We'll lock down the tight end, and happened multiple weeks where I've just been, we'll score on the tight end, and the Giants just lock them down. But
it's pretty much Alvin Kamara.
Kamara's the lock, and then
if you want to take your shot on MVS, go for it. But it's New Orleans, it's Alvin Kamara, nobody for me.
Yeah, Kamara's a lock, and then MVS is a risky play.
Yeah. Philadelphia, they beat Baltimore 24-19. Eagles improved to 10-2, hottest team in football right now. Ravens fall to 8-5. Jalen Hurts, he was okay, 2 touchdowns, only 19 attempts on 11 completions, 118 yards to the air, so not his best day. Saquon Barkley, 107-1, continues to be great.
So good.
AJ Brown, 5 for 66. And then nobody else. Dallas Goedert, 3 for 35 and a touchdown.
Goddard's hurt.
Yeah, and Goddard's involvement also falls into the fact Devontae Smith, again, didn't play. So
yeah,
Devontae Smith should be back this week. So even if Goddard's out there, I'm not
Goddard's not.
with him.
Goddard's going to be week to week. That's what he's been diagnosed at. So they need Smith back out there this week. It's an easier matchup, but without
Carolina hangs. So
yeah, like without Goddard, without Smith, you can really cover. Like you could double team Brown. You could run a high safety up on him. You could just make sure Brown's not open at all.
Yeah,
he's going to get his, but at that point, you got to run Barkley.
It's a Barkley game then. Yep. Baltimore, though, Lamar, 237, 2 touchdowns, 8 for 79 on the ground. Continues to be a superstar for fantasy. Yep. Derrick Henry, 18 for 82, 3 catches for him. Way to go. 29 yards. No touchdown for Henry, so kind of takes away his appeal. Zay Flowers, 3 for 74. Not great, but Philly, tough to run on. Did you see Cooper DeJean freaking body Derrick Henry?
Yes,
another podcast legend. Cooper DeJean just fucking took Henry head on and pulled him up and just dropped him. A great play for him. Mark Andrews, though, great game. 6 for 67 and a touchdown. Your guy,
dude,
Mark
he had
Andrews.
such a Randy Moss-like touchdown, dude, where he just looked so much bigger than everybody else.
Yep. Isaiah Likely also scored 5 for 38 and a touchdown.
Yeah. The Coop thing, man, when they got him and Quignon in the draft, dude, I remember this thinking about it, like, how did that happen? How did the NFL let Quignon Mitchell and Coop DeJean just fall to Philly, and they didn't even have to trade up? They got 2 elite corners in the same draft class, dude, and it's showing now. Like, their secondary is scary. Their defense is scary because of their line. Their secondary, their linebackers are playing out of this world, dude. Philly's a scary team, dude.
I know the Cooper DeJean thing, a lot of it was medical. Some teams had some red flags on them. We obviously don't have access to that stuff. And when Minnesota traded up in the draft, I legitimately thought it was for Quignon Mitchell. And I'm like, wow, we're going to get Mitchell. And then Dallas Turner was also on the board. I'm like, well, he makes sense too. We've lost Daniel Hunter. And we ultimately went with Turner. Hindsight, wish we did go with Mitchell, but I still like Dallas Turner's upside. But Quignon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean this year have been playing lights out football. They've been great for Philadelphia.
So speaking of so good for Philly, I seen a stat. It was the 3 top rushers in the NFL it's Barkley, Derrick Henry, and then Josh Jacobs, who all have switched teams this offseason. But then if you take Barkley's yards from just the second half of games, he's the 4th rusher in the NFL. He almost has 1,000 yards in the back end of games.
Yeah.
He is a whole different monster this year, dude.
I know you want him in MVP talks, and he should be.
I do.
But real life wise, this is going to be Brock Bowers not winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. MVP is a quarterback award. And now, if I had to give out my MVP vote, it would be for the guy in the next game. The Buffalo Bills beat the 49ers 35-10. I would give it to Josh Allen. He's my MVP. Niners fall to 5-7. Bills improved to 10-2. Josh Allen, 148 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. He had a receiving touchdown. He had a rushing touchdown. So he got credited for 4 total touchdowns this game. So Josh Allen, superstar. James Cook had a big run. He was 14 for 107 and 1. Your start of the week. He paid off. Great game from him. Ray Davis had a touchdown. He was involved as well, 11 for 63. We love Ray Davis here. The receiving crew for the Bills, they didn't have to do anything. So Shakir was 4 for 30. Amari Cooper was 3 for 12. And then the Niners were just
not there.
The snow, the snow, the injuries, everything is just falling out of favor for the Niners. Brock Purdy, a rough game for him, 11 for 18, 94 yards. He fumbled. Christian McCaffrey out for the year. He hurt his PCL. He pulled himself out, 7 for 53. He was having a nice little game. Garendo did score. Jordan Mason also got hurt. He went on IR as well. He was 13 for 78. So now this is Garendo's backfield. We brought up Izzy Abanikanda. We'll see where he gets involved. Deebo Samuel was 4 for 20 and he fumbled. Juwan Jennings, 3 for 56. Ricky Pearsall, again, no catches. George Kittle had the first catch of the game, nothing after that. A mess of a game for San Francisco. Are you worried about any of their fantasy options going forward?
Before we get into that, real quick, Rashad Bateman did get hurt in the Baltimore game. He has a knee injury. He's probably out for a little bit. but don't expect Deontay Johnson to step up into that role.
Deontay Johnson didn't play a single snap.
Well, Harbaugh also, in a presser today, I believe it was, someone asked him about the 0 snaps, and he's like, I'm not in the position to answer questions about him. So there's something going on with Deontay Johnson in that locker room.
Deontay Johnson might be a problem. It
certainly seems that he is now a huge problem, with Pittsburgh not wanting him, Carolina not wanting him, and now Baltimore just willingly, we're not even going to play you, even when Bateman got hurt. He seems to be the problem. But now
so we'll
to San Fran. This game on paper, if I told you it was going to be snowing, and if you had to pick like a receiver in the NFL, being Deebo Samuel, to go out there and have a snow game, he should have had a great game. George Kittle is a tight end that should have been able to perform in a snow game. This doesn't make sense that San Fran wasn't able to adjust and make the changes needed.
Did you see Kittle's presser?
Like Buffalo had it down. They got guys in motion before the snap, getting their feet moving so they could get off the line faster when they hiked the ball. Because at that point, San Fran was so slow, offensive and defensive. It was like the slowest started snaps for any team all season. They were like 2 seconds behind on defense, a second and a half on offense. They just could not do anything all game. Yeah. And that's kind of concerning. Like, this team should be able to do wonders in the snow. They're they do so many things well, like the easy things well. And that's what you need to do in snow. Just do football simple.
When did McCaffrey go down? I didn't see the game.
The first quarter.
Okay, so maybe
he was killing it.
Yeah, maybe him going down just kind of checked out the offense. I don't know.
It was either the first quarter or very early or in the second. I watched the whole game. And
did you see Kittle's presser?
No.
They asked him about, like, he had the first catch. They asked him about, like, not only having one target after that. And, like, he's just like, oh, to me, I was open. Like, I don't know why they weren't throwing me the ball. So, and Kittle's usually, like, yeah, he's a character, but you rarely hear him, like, speak bad about, like, the offensive and how it's running. And he's always been, like, a team first guy. Like, he'll block. He doesn't care about stat line. So, some dissension there. Who knows? Kyle Shanahan's not going to get fired. We don't have to talk about that, but maybe a team tries to trade for him. Maybe there's just fatigue there, like Andy Reid with the Eagles many years ago. Maybe someone like Dallas tries to swoop in, offer a high draft pick, and the way they're playing, their draft pick's getting worse. Maybe they offer this top 15 pick to the Niners for Kyle Shanahan. We'll see.
One of the guys I work with came up to me and goes, "What's going on with San Fran?" And he's like, "What do you think's going to happen with Shanahan?" And I'm like, "He's not going to be fired. He shouldn't be fired. He's one of the best coaches in football." But, and I brought up the Andy Reid thing, like, there's only so long you can plateau with a team where you're dragging the team down now because you're not making changes that need to happen, but you're also too good to be fired.
Yeah.
Andy Reid was eventually fired, I believe. I'm pretty sure Philly fired him.
His contract ran out. They just didn't renew it.
I kind of think that's what you need here. I think a change for Shanahan would do him wonders. And I think if San Fran brought in the right coach, Chip Kelly was not the right coach, but eventually they brought in Doug Peterson and they won a Super Bowl. I think San Fran...
Philly.
Yeah, back to Philly brought in Doug Peterson after Chip Kelly and won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Something needs to happen here with San Fran, though. They've plateaued with Shanahan. They've reached so many NFC championships.
They've also been so banged up this year. Everyone's been hurt. Trent Williams has missed time. Nick Bosa's missed time. Like, and the Brandon Ayuk situation during the offseason, now he's out. They're going to move on from Debo. Like, he looks washed. I don't know what's going on with him. I think Shanahan's going to be there next year, and I think next season will be his last there if they don't do anything worth noting.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that Shanahan, not that he deserves to be fired or anything, but I think it's best for both parties if they've just plateaued again next season.
Yeah.
To just move on.
Yep. And then who knows what happens to Brock Purdy then?
Hey, man, I'm not a big Purdy supporter, so.
Yeah. Monday Night Football, this was a fun one. Denver improves to 8-5. They beat Cleveland 41-32. Browns fall to 3-9. Jameis Winston, 497 passing yards.
Unbelievable.
4 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. Technically, he threw 2 pick sixes. on 3 total interceptions, but the most Jameis game possible. And like the Browns can't run the ball. Nick Chubb was 9 for 21. Jerome Ford was 9 for 41. And then Jerry Jeudy, beneficiary of all this, 9 for 235 and a touchdown. David Njoku as well, 17 targets, 9 for 52 and 2 touchdowns. And Elijah Moore, 8 for 111. So like with the amount the team's passing, whatever receivers are on the field are going to benefit. So when Cedric Tillman's probably back next week, we'll see where the dynamic goes from there for this team. But the Browns are going to stay in games because they're going to pass so much, and Jameis becomes a viable fantasy option. Plus, he's got a great schedule going forward. Who knows? Jameis Winston could be on winning teams. He's Joe Flacco now. But
Winston and Jerry Jeudy are both going to be on a ton of winning teams, even Njoku, just because of the way the offense is.
Did you see that Jerry Jeudy on Monday had more receiving yards than he had with Deshaun Watson all season?
I truly believe that. He looked so good, and he wanted to do that. It was his old team. It was a revenge game of all revenge games. It was actually the most yards a receiver has had in a game versus former team. How many yards do you think Jerry Jeudy has in the last 5 games? And this is with Watson.
615.
It's 614. That's crazy. Man. Good guess. You were 1 yard off. 614 yards in 5 games for Jerry Jeudy. And this was on Patrick Surtain. It wasn't all game, but they eventually put Surtain on him because of how much he was ripping up this defense. So Jerry Jeudy made them tell the Browns, when you're in man defense, if Patrick Surtain is following me, now the whole offense knows you're in man defense because you need your best player to spy me all game. Because 9 for 235 and a tutty, Jerry Jeudy's a dog, dude.
Because of this stretch,
I love seeing this.
Jerry Jeudy's now wide receiver 14 on the season in full PPR.
I don't think it stops.
No, I agree. I think Jerry Jeudy is another guy who could be on, championship rosters. You were able to get him, and he's in your lineup, and he's ripping it up right now.
The Browns did this last year with Flacco, Njoku, and Cooper. Those 3 guys. Flacco not so much, but Njoku and Cooper were heavily involved in so many winning teams. And I fully expect Jerry Jeudy and Njoku again because he had a huge game too, 2 times. I fully expect them guys.
You downgrade Elijah Moore when Cedric Tillman comes back? You think he's the one who kind of fades out a bit?
I don't think he fades out. I think he's had really good performances. He's had 16.5 with Winston before. He's had 18.5 and then 22 without Cedric Tillman out there. I like all 3 of these guys in this offense. I think they're all.
Yeah.
When you're passing the ball this much and you have almost 500 yards of offense, not in an overtime game. This was the most snaps in an NFL game all season, and it didn't go in overtime. Nope. There were so many plays in this game.
Yeah, and then Denver, not even worth talking about their backfield. Marvin Mims, 3 for 105. He had a 90-yard touchdown. Cortland Sutton, 6 for 102. Continues to be a staple in fantasy football, just being real safe there. And that was it. Bo Nix was just okay. 294, touchdown, did have 2 interceptions, and didn't do much of the ground, only 4 yards rushing, but Denver's defense, 2 touchdowns. So it took away from some of the offensive performance there for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm. Cortland Sutton, though, has been so good here for Denver, dude.
Yep.
They were talking about it, the game where he had 0 targets, 0 catches. Bo Nix immediately went up to him in the locker room, and he's like, if that ever happens again, you come up to me at halftime and you tell me to start throwing you the ball. And it has not turned around. It has turned around. Sutton has been so good since that game.
We thought after that 0 target game that they might move on from him because Sean Payton came out and said hey, we got to get these younger guys on the field, play them, and we're like, wow, are they moving on from Sutton? What's going on? But since then, Cortland Sutton's wide receiver 8 full PPR.
Mm-hmm. Since that game, I'm just gonna read his stat numbers in full point PPR. It's been 18, 26, 19, 14, 29, 17. They got the bye week this week, then they got Indy next week. Full stream ahead here for Cortland Sutton.
Sutton's going to be a start of the week. Spoiler alert.
So Cortland Sutton has been a lock, so I don't expect that to change anytime soon.
Yeah,
they are using Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin a little bit more, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love that they're using Mims. Like, I loved him coming out. So get this guy in the field. He was the first draft pick Sean Payton made. They traded up for him. Like, he's got explosive playability. Let's use that up. All right, Thursday night football, Lions Packers. Before we get into that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Dubby Energy. You know, we've all been there. Need a little pick me up. Dubby Energy's for you. Dubby prides itself on full transparency and ingredient disclosure. No sugars, no calories, no artificial dyes, no fillers. They got a mobile app. Just search Dubby Energy, Dubby, in your app store. You'll find it. Or you can go to their site, www.dubby.gg. That's Dubby, Dubby. Be better and get that dub with Dubby Energy and use the code DRAFTITUP for a nice 10% discount on your order at checkout. And it supports the pod. I got an order coming. I ordered 2 tubs, so I look forward to getting some of that as well. I ordered the fruit punch lime and the caramel apple powder.
Delicious flavors.
Yeah. So use that code DRAFTITUP. 10% discount, Dubby Energy, Dubby. Be better with Dubby Energy. Be better. That's what the Lions got to do this week after almost losing that game to Chicago on Thursday. Lions, Packers. Lions are at home. 3.5-point favorites, over under a 51. You love to see that.
Big score.
I said it earlier. I think the Lions cover this. I think they win by more than a touchdown on Thursday.
I'm taking the Packers.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. As a Vikings fan, I hate it, but I also love it because I need the Lions to lose, but I also need the Packers to not win. So
I don't know if this is the feeling you had when you picked the Jets. I think I honest to God,
I think it was a stomach bug.
Fully believe that the Packers are going to win this game.
Okay, so you're in on Packers players. I'm in on Jaden Reed. He got the 2 touchdowns, but like the yards weren't there. But Lions, if you're gonna win this game, you're gonna have to pass, and you're gonna pass a ton. So I do like Jaden Reed this week. Tucker Kraft, if Romeo Dobbs isn't out there, I think he's a good play Thursday as well. And then Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, you're going to put them in your lineup, I think.
I really like Love this week a lot. I think he's due to have a really big week here. And I think it's going to come Thursday night, prime time, division game. He's looked decent the last couple weeks, but he hasn't broke that 2 touchdowns. I want that high 3-4 touchdown game from Love, and I really think in a shootout it's possible here in Detroit.
Okay. And then
I think Josh Jacobs can have a nice little game. It's not going to be through running, but he could find the end zone. I'm not huge on the receivers besides Reed, but I think Watson can end up in the end zone on just a big broken play. But yeah, man, I like the Packers and the Lions. I'm starting them all.
Yeah, I'm not starting Jared Goff. I would start a bunch of people over.
You have.
I mean, I guess
Love over Goff.
Six. Yeah, I would start Love over Goff. Like I would have Jared Goff. Like I would Hurts. Obviously, I would start Russell Wilson and Jameis over him this week. Baker.
Tua versus the Jets. It's a rough matchup.
Yeah, I think I would go Goff there. Controlled weather. I mean, it's a home game for Miami, but a dome and I think a better options for scoring. I think that'll be more towards a shootout than the Jets-Dolphins game were. But Tua's been great. That one's tough.
Tua's been, yeah, I'm trying to give you like tough. Baker versus Vegas. Okay. I think I would lean Goff a little bit.
Yeah, so I would go Goff over Tua and then Baker over Goff. Those are both tough though. I'm on Raw. JMO? You putting JMO in?
You can if you have to. I'm not thrilled to start him, but he's startable.
Okay. Yeah, I would put him in. What about Laporta?
No. I would start Tucker Kraft over him. He was 3 for 6, dude. Like, what are we talking about? I get he had the 2 touchdowns, but 3 for 6 last week, and then the week before that, he was 3 for 19.
Yeah.
He's so touchdown dependent.
Yeah. With Laporta and the Thursday game also, I don't want to bank into him having another touchdown depending game on Thursday.
Like, I get if you have to start him, like if he's your only tight end, you can play him, but just know a 3 for 20, a 2 for 40, like it's a bad game's possible here for Laporta every week.
Agree. And then
there's too many options here.
You're picking the Packers
in Denver,
and I'm picking.
Yeah, I'm picking
Detroit.
I'm picking.
All right, it's Tuesday, so we're ending the podcast here with a prospect spotlight series as we preview some guys who are draft eligible here for the upcoming 2025 NFL draft, and we're inching closer. Guys are starting to declare, accept Senior Bowl invites, all that good stuff. So we're leaning in. We're gonna go chalk here. We're going with 2 top of the line prospects, and it's time we talk about them. Why don't you start it off? Who you going with here?
I'm gonna go with my personal Heisman fronter, Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. It's not a college you hear often for high drafted prospects, but when you have well over 2,000 yards and 20-some total touchdowns, you are going to be drafted high. And the way he runs the ball, he's so patient and he's so thorough at finding the right holes and the blocks, and he's so clean and like, I haven't seen a natural running back like this in a few years. It's been a while. Bijan was good, but like, he wasn't a natural runner where he was fully, if you get this guy going, he can't be stopped. He's almost like Derrick Henry in that way. Like, after his first step, he's so untackleable. If you can't get to him before he gets any type of momentum, you're going to have a hard time trying to tackle this guy. I get he's playing college, guys, but it's going to transition tremendously into the NFL. It's been a long time since we for sure, it's probably Bijan, we're like, oh, running back's going in the first round as a lock. Janty's going in the first. It's going to happen. Hopefully.
He would have been my RB1 if he came out last year.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. The back class was weak last year. It's not this year. He is the RB1 in a really, really strong running back class. And that says a lot. Like, there's multiple big name running backs in this draft. None of them none of them can hold a match to Janty or whatever the fuck that saying is.
Candle. But, close.
Yeah, hold a candle. Sure. Close enough. His negatives, he could use a little bit more improvement in the pass game that I've noticed. He's not used well in the passing game this year. The year before, he was used
43 catches in 2023 compared to 18 this year.
So his hands are there. He's just not using them this year. Also, pass protection can be a little bit shoddy, but he's a running back.
You're going to find that with most backs in college.
Exactly. Well, not every one of them can block well, and that stuff you could be taught if you get a good run blocking coach.
Yep.
And you also see the effort of him willing to block. Like, he's willing to put his body on the line in front of defensive guys. And that's the kind of stuff you want for your team. It's all the added boost for a quarterback to love him. 2023, he did have ball security issues. It has not been an issue. He had 5 fumbles 2 years ago. So the fumble thing 2 years ago was a bit of a problem, but you love to see him fix it. He's changed. I think he's put the ball on the ground once or twice this season. But hey, man, I'll take that. That's a big upgrade. But yeah, like I said, he's such a natural, gifted runner. His vision to find the holes is elite. He's such a good runner after the first 2 steps, dude. Like, Ashton Jeanty is my RB1 right now, and I don't think it's going to change throughout the process.
Nope, it will not. He was the guy I alluded to for Dallas. If they keep winning and they kind of fall out of the top 10, he becomes a guy to take. Whereas, like, they're in the top 10, they probably should address the offensive line. And Genty's a guy who's like, he's getting taken out of games at times because, like, they're winning by so much. But, like, his exact numbers, because you guys need to hear it. He's got 312 carries for 2,288 yards, 28 touchdowns at 7.3 yards per carry. He's got another touchdown through the air, 18 for 102. So he's got 330 touches for 2,390 yards and 29 touchdowns. Insane numbers. My biggest gripe with him, and it's not even his fault, is the workload. He's got 688 carries through college, 763 touches. So that is a little worrisome, having that much workload. Like, Melvin Gordon came into the league with a ton of work, and he had
you brought up
2 seasons, and then he kind of fell off the face of the earth.
He is the guy that I don't want to compare him to, but if you look back at Melvin Gordon's final season in college, he had over 2,000 yards. He had 20-some touchdowns. Like, he was that dude in college.
Yeah.
And man, he did play really well, but he was an injury thing. Like, injuries really got a hold of Melvin Gordon and took his legs, took his explosiveness. So, bearing any injuries, Janty's going to be a superstar.
Do you know
but
how
unfortunately,
many...
with the running back position, injuries take these guys away from us. Like, look at Todd Gurley.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Melvin Gordon's a perfect example. Like, these elite athletes at running back can just be easily taken away from us in a snap, in a heartbeat. So be grateful of these running backs, and they're out here putting their bodies on the line every single week. Like, look at Barkley. He's been injured here and there. Thankfully, none of them have really slowed his progress down. Mm-hmm. But some of them you just can't bounce back, dude.
Yeah.
And sucks.
You brought up his ability to break tackles. His yards after contact this year, 1,695.
Yeah.
That's a season for some running backs.
That's a college career for some guys, dude. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. He's a freak.
He is a special athlete. Speaking of freaks,
speaking of special athletes,
I'm bringing up the actual Heisman favorite in terms of betting odds currently, and that is Travis Hunter out of the University of Colorado. He is a 2-threat player. He plays wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He plays corner, and he says he's going to do that in the NFL. We'll see if that happens, but he's played a ton of snaps. Like, his stamina is peak elite levels. His
snaps crazy.
He's played 558 snaps outside corner, 80 inside. He's played 672 snaps out wide at wide receiver, 35 in the slot. Like, this guy, he does kick returns. He's been on the field goal block team. Mm-hmm. Like, he is the ultimate team player. He wants to be out there. He wants to provide the Buffaloes the best chance to win football games, and he's doing just that. And like, he's got 92 catches this year. That leads his conference for 1,152 yards, 14 touchdowns. It's his best year as a wide receiver in college football. And then, he's got 4 interceptions as well on 32 tackles at corner. Like, he does it all. I think he's a better corner than he is wide receiver. Like, I think his game transitions at, like, his skill set at wide receiver, it's easier to find. Whereas, like, I think he could be the best corner in football, but money's going to pay the wide receiver. So I understand if that's the route he wants to go. And he is a really good receiver. He would be my wide receiver 1 in this class as well. And he's my corner 1. He's my overall number 1 player so far in this draft class. But his ball tracking ability, like, you can see it when you're watching his tape at corner, and like, the ball's thrown and you can see him track the ball like a wide receiver, and he makes the play. Leads the Big 12 in pass deflections. He's got 11. Like, he's a big time player for a big time team. I know you don't like Colorado, but they equal ratings. They're fun. Travis Hunter, he could easily go out there and be the first pick of the draft come April if it's a team who doesn't need a quarterback like Jacksonville or New England, and they're looking at this guy, and you're going to get a superstar who's an ultimate team player. He's going to play both ways. We'll see how effective that is in the NFL, and I hope it works out. I hope he does go out there and he has the stamina to do so. I don't think he will. I think he'll be more of a corner, and then you'll see some design plays for him. He'll be like a wide receiver 4 on a depth chart, but he'll have design plays and manufactured touches for sure. Like, he's an incredible athlete, and I hope it does transition that he can do both on a full-time basis and be the best.
We won't ever know until a team hopefully gives him that chance to go out there and do it both ways. Like, what would the Angels have been depriving the world if they didn't let Ohtani pitch or hit?
Yeah.
They just let him do one of them. Like, until Ohtani, no one was doing that. No one could do that. And now Ohtani is DHing and pitching, and he's the best player in baseball, bar none. He's a billion-dollar player. He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter can be that. He can be the best cornerback in the draft this year. I have him as my receiver 2, if he's a pure receiver. But nonetheless, he's still an elite prospect. I think he should be the first pick regardless. of who has the first pick. Even if you need a quarterback, let's say this is the Giants example. If the Giants finish with the first pick, I would rather them take Travis Hunter than reach on Shadir Sanders or Cam Ward.
No, that makes sense. I agree.
Because I would rather us draft Travis Hunter and build around him and Neighbors and Phillips on the secondary with him, and then sign Sam Darnold to a 2 or 3 year deal to just lead us to decency. We don't need to be great our first year, but just build around these young guys and bring in a good quarterback that you don't need to rush.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in not rushing quarterbacks, and these quarterbacks in this draft class should not be rushed.
I agree. And I hate using the term generational talent, but Travis Hunter has that upside, whereas none of the quarterbacks in this draft class have that to me. They're middle of the road NFL guys at their ceiling, where Travis Hunter could be the best player in football.
Against like Shadir or Cam. Like, I don't have a real big board, but right now they'd be like 12 and 10 ranked on my big board for the draft. Travis Hunter's one. Travis Hunter is one. Like, he's the best cornerback in the class, and he's the second best receiver in my eyes. Your number one receiver.
Do you have him behind Tedero McMillan?
Yes, okay. McMillan is my number one receiver. Okay. McMillan is so good.
That's fair.
He's a dog. But yeah, Travis Hunter though, dude, he has the ability to legitimately change the game for both sides of the field, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Travis Hunter, corner wide receiver, Buffalo. Nick bringing Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State. And that'll do it. Podcast over.
2 big names.
You know where to find us. Twitter at @DraftedUp_pod. Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, share, review, tell a friend. All that good stuff. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Support our friends over at Dubby Energy. Use the code DraftedUp for a little discount, 10% off of your order. And we'll see you on Thursday.
Thursday, baby.
Adios.
Last week of the season.
Fantasy regular season.
Our season.
Yeah. Bye, guys.